In today's video we are going to talk about Al Khalid tank, and we will be taking a look at the problems the tank has. And from available information, it seems the tank is not really good. This video is sponsored by Varta. Varta is a military vehicle combat online game. It is free to play on PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Not to mention that it is cross-platform between PC and consoles. The game features an incredible arsenal of more than 1500 historically accurate, playable tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships from 1930s to 1990s. Best thing about the game are its realistic physics and one of the most detailed and immersive vehicle damage models in gaming. If you use my link to register, you will receive a bonus, a premium vehicle, tank, aircraft or ship, as well as a 3-day account boost. The game is completely free, so nothing is stopping you. You can start playing immediately. Let us begin by taking a look at the tank's protection. The base armor of the tank is pretty weak, and it is old. It is basically type 90 second, and depending on the source, the armor is not rated more than 400mm against APF-SDS on the turret and no more than 300mm on the hull against APF-SDS. And against heat on the turret no more than 600mm and on the hull no more than 500mm. The protection is further enhanced with explosive reactive armor that is for some reason only placed on the turret's front, where the hull is completely unprotected. Now, there are some sources that state that explosive reactive armor in question is Aurak Mk2, or that it is still old Aurak Mk1. Mk2 is supposed to offer APF-SDS protection, but nevertheless, their heat protection should be equivalent, and should give to the turret heat protection close to 1000mm of armor, which is not that bad, but still Pakistan did not give any information about the Mk2 ERA. There is some information on Wikipedia that states that Mk2 offers protection against APF-SDS up to 450mm, which is out of question that small type of ERA can offer that great protection, not to mention that Wikipedia doesn't even cite a source for that specific number. Another problem is that ERA can never give exact amount of protection, but instead decreases penetration of APF-SDS projectiles. That is why we can see information about Contact 5 that states that it decreases penetration against modern projectiles around 20%. Even Duplet, that is by far the best ERA that offers protection against kinetic energy projectiles, did not decrease that much on trials that we have footage of. There is some speculation by some people that it is derived from Ukrainian Armour that offers around 30% against modern APF-SDS projectiles, so 450mm is out of question. But as I previously stated, there has been no information disclosed about that explosive reactive armor. But looking at its size, if it is even the ERA that they are talking about, and not the old one that offers no kinetic energy protection, then we can safely assume that it offers around 30% against modern APF-SDS projectiles. Yet another problem with the ERA is that it does not offer great coverage. There are still decent amount of weak spots that can be exploited. Not to mention that overall coverage is awful. It is not placed anywhere else except on the turret's front. Even though on presentation in 2003 it was placed on the hull, turret sides and even on the roof armor, while production variants have it only on the turret's front. You may find images that resemble the Al Khalid, which do have ERA on the hull as well as the turret sides, but those are always VT-1 tanks, which Pakistan does not use. Another problem is that in order to have a Varta active protection system, which is basically a Ukrainian version of Russian Shtora 1, for some reason it needs ERA removed in order to mount it. But for some reason all pictures where Al Khalid has Varta on it, ERA is present on the hull. I don't understand that logic at all. It is if they were like, oh, let's move the ERA from the turret to the hull. Firepower is not that bad. It basically uses all ammunition types as other 125mm guns. But the problem is that it cannot fit long projectiles in the autoloader, and the best projectile it can use is the Chinese 125-3. But I could not find any information if Pakistan even got 125-2. All I could find are mentions of 125-1 in some documents, but I couldn't find any new document that states what type of rounds it uses, since the most recent one I could find is few years old, which means it is still pretty possible that they got 125-2 projectiles. If that is the case, then armor penetration on 2 km is rated around 600mm, which is not that bad, but still not comparable to the most modern projectiles. The fire control system is also not that bad. It has second generation thermal imaging system for the gunner, battle management system, remotely controlled commander's machine gun, and other things most of modern tanks have. But the problem is that it has no thermal for the commander, which is a big downside since commander is the one that looks for targets most of the time, and commander not having thermal gives him a disadvantage on the battlefield, where he has to rely on the gunner's thermal for spotting at longer ranges. And now the mobility. It is powered by 6TD2 diesel engine, and it is not that good. Even though it has 1200 horsepower, its peak torque is 3233 Nm, which is pretty bad compared to modern tank engines that produce over 4500 Nm of torque. And not to mention that a lot of older engines produced power much stronger than that. It also has semi-automatic transmission, which is okay, but still not as good as automatic one, obviously. So mobility is not that good, mainly because the engine is pretty weak. Don't forget to check out War Thunder, where you can take control of many land, air or naval vehicles. Use the link from the description to get a premium vehicle and a 3-day account boost when you register. Remember, the game is completely free for PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Just download and play. So the only thing that is somewhat decent about this tank is firepower. Fire control system is not that bad, but it needs commander's independent thermal viewer to make it good. Everything else is bad, both mobility and protection. Even tanks that came decades before it had superior protection and mobility. Pakistan simply needs some new tank. Al Khalid is just not capable enough for modern warfare, especially because almost all existing projectiles can penetrate it. And that would be all. Thanks for watching. If you like my content, you can consider supporting me on Patreon. Every bit helps. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.